contracting with third parties to help us with larger repair projects. So if you have a major engine failure, an accident repair, major transmission, a larger overhaul of a bus that we have budget available so that we can send that to a third party. So in the coming months, at some point, we're going to be coming to the board with a contract to help us, whether it's engine repair, bodywork, transmissions. This does a couple of things for us. In addition to helping as our maintenance department gets fully staffed as we continue to work on that issue, the other thing that it'll do is it'll help us free up a bay. So if you have a major repair that's going on, you're holding up a maintenance bay in limited facilities that could otherwise be churning out other sorts of repair. So it helps you on a couple of fronts, making sure that we can get those buses out timely. And lastly, you'll notice that there's some additional maintenance staff allocated towards facilities, making sure that our facilities can support this increased maintenance activity, as well as if we need additional repair parts or contract help as it relates to those facilities improvement. Another area of focus this year is yard management. Allocating resources and staff and systems to make sure that we know where buses are as they're in the yard, not just when they're out on the road. This helps us in a couple of areas. One, it helps us to make sure that when a driver comes in for their run, that we know exactly where their buses is. We can tell them exactly where to report. And this is critical when we're thinking about getting a bus out on time. So somebody's not searching around, or somebody thinks that bus 3007 is here, but it's really down, or having that system and somebody to manage it helps us get that bus out earlier. Additionally, what finance really likes about this is it helps us manage the miles on buses as well. That's really critical for a lot of our federal grant reporting and making sure we've got the right replacement cycle. So there's a lot of benefits to this, in addition to reliability and customer experience. So we're going to the next thing that we did was, instead of thinking about the budget in total headcount, we went to a more of a full-time equivalent model. So if we've got part-time employees, or somebody that you know is going to be on extended leave, or some other circumstance where they're not going to be reporting for their regular run, that we've got we're looking at a more of a full-time equivalent. So we've kept the same amount of fixed route and paratransit drivers at 426. You may have 427, but 2 of those people are part-time employees. But it's more of a full-time equivalent model, making sure that we can get all budgeted service on the road. So there's a little bit of increased cost to doing that. The second thing we did was we were investing in additional resources to make sure that we have the right number on our extra board, or those drivers that we have at the terminal, in case somebody has a call off or a breakdown, or we need to send another bus for whatever reason. So investing in the systems as well as the personnel to make sure that we have that person there, and we can do the right analysis to make sure that with a high level of confidence, we think we're going to need, is it 20 or 25 people on that extra board each day, or maybe it varies on days of the week. So this budget calls or has resources available to help us do that. Lastly, we've allocated a bunch of additional resources to help us manage and maintain the cleanliness of our bus stops. We've heard from a number of communities, as well as people at board meetings and community outreach, that this is an issue, and we are bringing the resources to bear to make sure that is something that is fixed within this budget, or we have budget available to help with that issue. I do have a couple of quick comments on ongoing initiatives. So you've heard throughout the last year a number of things that we've been working on. So our workforce development, we continue to invest in, and you'll see some minor changes on certain budget line items for workforce development. So these are things like training staff, whether it be operational, maintenance, or administrative staff, so that they can perform their job more effectively. We continue to invest in our safety programs, and I'm very pleased to report that in this budget year, we've decreased our estimated cost per mile for vehicle incidents from 46 cents last year to 34 cents per mile. So it's a pretty significant decrease. While we continue to monitor that and make sure that is something that's going to be sustained into the future. Right now, we're estimating that impact to be about a $2.1 million savings, which more than enough pays for the initiatives that we put into place over the last few years. We do have ongoing consulting and improvement projects as it relates to maintenance operations, developing capital plans. And there's a number of projects going on with our general planning consultant that continue. So we continue to make strides in those areas, and there is budget available within this budget to continue those improvements. Lastly, before I turn it over for questions, I do want to call out our community partner coordination. We've got 4 positions for community partners within this budget, which we actually had last year. We've only been able to fill 1 thus far. So there is a lot of room for improvement in this area, but the budget is there as we find the right individuals for those programs. Secondly, I do want to call out that within SMART's general fund, we are allocating approximately $6.1 million of local resources to community partners. On top of that, SMART is passing through from other agencies approximately $20.1 million of federal and state funding. So the size of our community partnership program is about $26 million. When you think of SMART's total budget of what we're handling directly of $185 million, that's a significant proportion of kind of the total service that's getting put out there. And that's in addition to the 304 approximately community vehicles that we're assisting with. So it is a significant portion of kind of the SMART transit impact in the region. Other than that, those are the highlights as it relates to the budget. Also included within your packet is the capital budget that details the capital expenditures that we intend to expend over the next, it's actually a 5-year capital budget. And we detail that by high-level project line items, so like facilities renovation, bus equipment, bus buy. Yeah. Other than that, I can turn it over for questions. I don't want to belabor anything, or I can dive in. We can go through this line item by line item, whatever the budget committee's pleasure is.
I just have a few questions, Ryan. Great. Great to hear that you have 4 positions for the community partners, and, sort of making sure that communication and that information line is going back and forth with our community partners. It's really important. Do we have, as part of your capital improvement plan, do you have a pool of backup vehicles when a vehicle is being repaired or maintained, so that you're able to replace those vehicles frequently or more, you know, I guess faster when they need to be replaced?
So currently we have, unfortunately, it's a pool of 6 vehicles only for a population of 300, over 300 community vehicles.
Right,
They are all currently utilized.
right.
So there is a pool of vehicles. It is perhaps that's one area of improvement that we can work on. Um,
Yeah, I think that's been a concern with some of the community partners is exchanging those vehicles out in a timely fashion so that service isn't interrupted and so that they can get back out there and transport um, the constituents in Macomb.
well, there isn't a specific line item within the capital budget
Okay.
that relates to this. That is something that we can explore um
Right.
over the coming year. Like this doesn't that not being a specific line item right now doesn't preclude us from that being something that comes to fruition in the coming year.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I will get with the team and that'll definitely be something that we talk about. I see Assad has a hand up.
Yes, thank you for that presentation. The little question I have is how much money's in our general fund balance, like our rainy day fund right now?
So I always avoid the term rainy day fund, but the unrestricted net position of Smart as of the last quarter is $102 million. So it's just a little over 6 months of expenses.
Okay, and what is you know, the ideally what's the gold standard of how much you want to hold on to in that fund typically?
So when we kind of look at that number, we think of basically 2 things. One is what are the capital needs or what liquid resources do I need to buy facilities, buses, other major like other major expenditures. And then 2 is because the property tax levy happens in December for the fiscal year, but I don't necessarily get that funding right then during the fiscal year. It takes some months for it to come in. Try to keep about 6 to 12 months of expenditures within reserve, kind of depending on what major cash flows we have. So we're in a really good spot right now. It doesn't really need to go much higher at this particular point, but
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Anything else I can tell anybody about the budget or the process or any other questions? Other than if everybody's okay with where we're at, I think the only thing left to do would be a motion to recommend the budget to the full board at the next board meeting.
Okay, Ryan, I just have one last
Sure.
quick question. I noticed that your admin costs are around 16 point something percent. Is that, again, you know, to follow what Assad was asking, like what is the gold standard for admin costs in this industry?
Sub 20%. So like
Okay,
your ceiling, if once you start to get above 20%, we should start asking a few questions.
okay,
So that's kind of our I guess benchmark when we kind of look at transit agencies in the area, that's about where they are.
okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Can I have a motion to move this budget forward to our next smart board meeting?
I mean, I guess I'm the only one, so motion to
Yeah,
approve.
you are.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second it.
Yes.
Even though I can't. Okay, great. Any committee member business? Hearing none, I would move to adjourn. Can I have a motion
motion.
to?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you very
everyone.
much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.